Hi you guys, I am going to go ahead and I'm going to record a video for you on how to go ahead and how to graph on Desmos. If you guys are not sure, it's just a quick review video of what we did in class. I'm going to be graphing some hypothetical data to go ahead and to talk about our densities and all of that. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to add a table. And I'm going to put in my X, I'm going to put some masses, and this is just some made up masses that I made in order to go ahead and to get some of that data. So I am just typing in the masses. In your case, your masses go ahead and come from your part one of your lab. So I'm just going ahead and recording some data. Your masses, actually, you already have your data if you are all caught up with some of your work. So it should be in your measuring masses part one. You guys should have a virtual lab. And you guys are just going to go ahead and you guys are going to cut and paste some of the data that you guys got from that personal lab into Desmos. So I probably should have opened that in another tab, but it's okay. So if you guys remember on this worksheet right here, which I hope it loads, there it is. You guys had a virtual lab that had to do with open link that had to do with this block that was floating and all of that. And remember, if you guys need to go ahead and you need to open Flash and all of that, it's there, right? And I had this block, and if I moved this block into a couple of different points, I would get different data points that you would record and that you would graph. And don't forget, you can change whatever you want it to be. Okay. So what I'm doing is that I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to record some data. Again, this is not data from the simulation. This is just data that I made to go ahead and to make sure that I get a straight line out of this, right? So that is one set of data. And for part one, you are required to have just one line. And then I took my masses in kilograms on one side, and then my Y's are my liters. So now what I have to do is the zoom is pretty okay because my graph is not too big. Usually what I would do is that I would adjust my zoom. This is 17. I can leave it at 17. This is at 12. I don't even need it that far. I can go like 8. But I can see everything. Oh, I put 18. It zoomed out. Hold up. So what's nice about this graph settings is that I can go ahead and I can adjust everything to what I need. Oh, I don't like that. I have to check this. X, Y, -2. There you go. That's much better. So this is my graph so far, right? And I adjusted that. And then I'm also going to type in my X and my Y. I'm going to type that into my label. So my X and my Y, I type into that label, and you guys will see that my X and my Y have appeared. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make this into a line. And so I'm going to add and turn on my line right here. So you guys will see that I'm turning this on. And that made it a line. And say if I don't like green, I want mine to be purple. So I go ahead and I do that, and then I click done, and that is my line. Now the next thing that I have to do is I have to add all of my labels into my graph. So I'm going to go and make a few of these. So I'm going to go A, comma B, and A, comma B, what it does is that it adds a random point. It's going to ask you if you add a slider, you say yes, and then you are going to label this. And since I put masses on my X, I'm going to label this mass in kilograms. And you would have to check what your units are. Your units might be slightly different. So I'm going to put it as mass in kilograms. And there's lots of settings that you can change up here. I'm going to put mine above that dot. And then the next one that I'm going to do is that I'm going to add another point. And the thing to notice is that I'm doing it with different letters. So I'm going C, comma, D. I'm adding a slider. If you ever pick a letter that it doesn't let you add a slider, pick another letter. It's probably because it means something in math. And I'll give you an example of what to look for if you ever see something like that. So this one is going to be volume in liters. And don't forget to write down your units. I'm going to make this go up and down because it's over there. And then I am going to drag and drop that deal right here because that is where that label goes, right? Then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add another point right here. So I'm going to give you an example of what you would see if you went something like this. So notice that when I typed in E that you saw a number when I did that. So you saw when I did E, a number popped up, right? And then I went F, and then it only let me slide a number for F, right? And if you let it go like that, what will happen is that, yeah, it makes it, but it doesn't let you slide like sideways. It only lets you slide it up and down. So that'll be something that happens. So I can kind of fix that if I made it a different letter and I added that slider to G, and now both of them have sliders, so then I can put it wherever I want, right? So then I can say mass versus volume of wood, right? Because this is per se my wood block. And so I would do that right there. And I put a large one over there so that that thing looks like my title. And then that would be one completed graph right there. So those are a couple of things that you guys should go ahead and to do. Okay, so now you guys will notice that for your second problem, they're asking you to go ahead and to graph two things on the same graph. So I'm going to do an example of that here. So what you have to do is that you are going to actually go ahead and you're going to actually have to add another table. And you could probably keep your volume and your liters. It really depends. So you have to double check those units. But I would definitely change the title. So we'll kind of give you guys an example of that. So for my second set of data, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do the I'm going to make sure that I do the mass on my X and my volume on the Y. So I got to make sure that those things match. I can't suddenly flip them or else your data from your graph is like screwed. Okay, so again, this is just some hypothetical data that I'm putting in here. Might have to change this zoom, but we will see. And 6. You guys will see that this is my data. Yeah, I'm gonna have to zoom out a little bit. So this is my data. I'm going to go ahead and I'm gonna turn the line on. So I'm gonna turn the line on. I'm also gonna change the color of this because I don't want it to match. And I'm gonna click done for now. Okay, so you guys will see that this is my graph right now. I'm gonna adjust it here so that I have more room. So I'm going to make this like 14-ish. And then I'm going to move the title. Oopsies. I'm going to move my title. And you have to move it by the dot or else it doesn't quite go. I'm going to move my title, right? And then mass in kilograms, volume in liters, that matches for my data. You would have to double check to see if yours matches. Oopsies. I don't like how I did that. Oopsies. Okay. Then I'm going to change this to mass versus volume. And then what I have to do is that for this one, I for sure need to add a key to this data so that I know what is going on, right? So I'm going to take a couple of different letters, G, let's do H. Don't do I because I is also a number in math. Go with something like K. And again, if you guys don't see these two on there, right, that means that it means like a number in math. I'm going to make sure I turn on my label. I'm going to label this wood. And I'm going to change the color so that it matches. And again, you don't have to change the color, but it makes it a lot easier to read if you go ahead and if you label it. And this is how we're creating our key on Desmos, because sometimes the key on Desmos can be a little bit tough. And then I am going to say, let's say aluminum. Oopsies. I have to add another letter. L, comma, M. I add my slider. Oh, it came out black. Perfect. Let's see something. Let's go ahead and let's say that I'm just going to write a general metal. And again, yours definitely won't be like this. You guys will have some slightly different materials to work with, but I just wanted to make sure that you guys knew all of the buttons, and just as a quick review on how to do this. And again, if you have any questions on how to do any of this, feel free to contact me via email or contact me during Remind. But that is basically how you set up your graph on Desmos. And then what you're going to do is that you can screenshot this. And screenshotting is different on different computers. And then after you go ahead and you screenshot it, you can go ahead and you can put it in on your document. And I have the wrong document out, so. So you would screenshot it and you would have two screenshots that you have to put on your document. And I'm sorry, but my computer is being a little bit slow right now. So for this document right here, you have two graphs that you have to put. So the single lined one is gonna go up at the top right here. So this would be where your single lined one goes, and you would just again take a screenshot of that. Make sure that it has all the parts, the title, axes, labels, keys, and scales. And then when you scroll down, after you do the reading and all of that, you get to this aluminum and copper. And when you get to the aluminum and copper, that's when you will have two of those things on one graph. And you have to make sure that, again, you have the title, axes, labels, keys, and scales. But that is it for now, and I will see you guys next time.